Good morning, everyone. Thanks so much for joining us here at 7 o'clock on the Wax on your Friday. Today is October 4th. I'm Caitlin Francis.
And I'm Caitlin Nuclo. Let's get the day started with a check on your forecast and your roads. We'll send it over to meteorologist Scott Gagliardi for the details on how today is shaping up. And we're looking ahead to the weekend, too.
It looks good out there. Even
Nice.
Right now. Check out the sunrise.
I know, beautiful.
I know. It's like some spots are really pretty, and then we've got socked in with fog in other
Foggy,
spots.
yeah.
Those typical spots. Route 9, Middletown, up through Brainerd Airport. It's pretty typical this time of year. We usually see it in the spring and fall. We're certainly seeing it out there today. But things improve later on this afternoon before some clouds come in, but not expecting rainfall until very early tomorrow morning. Here's a live look in New Haven. A beautiful shot here. We had sunrise about 10 minutes ago. If you look close, there is some fog way off in the distance. A better spot to see that fog, though, is certainly through Middletown. Take a look at this right along Route 9. Take it slow in this area. It's certainly a spot that we see fog fairly often. Here's a look at your visibility map. Notice Brainerd Airport at Hartford, only a quarter mile. Tolland, mile and a half. Willimantic, a quarter mile. So just take it slow. Some areas seeing that patchy fog. Most areas doing just fine, but this will all burn off over the next hour or so. Temperatures out there climbing through those 40s, 50s for just about everybody. The exceptions being Salisbury and Danbury, both right now coming in 49, 46 degrees. In Norwich, if you're heading out to the bus stop, you definitely need the light jacket at least. We warm up nicely though, mid-60s by noon, 70 or better beyond that. Forecasting at least mid-70s. Those clouds are on the increase. There's some out there right now, but those begin to decrease through noon and then increase beyond that. We do have a slight shower chance tomorrow, better chance for Monday, and then some frosty starts next week. We'll detail everything though coming up in just a few minutes.
All right, let's get you a check on those roads. Heading out the door right now, 7:02. You can see your drive times and speeds actually looking pretty good for this time of morning. It's a Friday, so things are a little bit quieter than usual. 95 southbound, we do have some of those delays approaching that 80-minute ride time, but 91 and 84 are looking good. No crashes, no major incidents at this point. 2 areas of road work at this time, according to DOT. Everything else is nice and quiet out there. Let's take a live look at some of those road conditions. Now, the problem that we are having is that visibility. So some fog scattered across the state here this morning. If you're heading out the door a little bit later, that daytime construction work is expected to pick up between 8:30 and 9 o'clock. But here's a live look outside in Hartford, Waterbury, where we're kind of, again, socked in with some of that fog. Middletown as well along Route 9. And then in Meriden, Shoreline might be dealing with some visibility issues as well. Just take it easy as you're heading out. That's a quick check at your Connecticut Chevy First Alert traffic report driven by your Connecticut Chevy dealers.
Happening in just a few hours here, the man police say stabbed a Woodbury police officer will appear in court.
The attack happened right off of North Main Street during a traffic stop. And Pinpoint News Tracker is showing us the area of that scene right now. Channel 3 Eyewitness News reporter Marcy Jones breaking down what we know right now.
Good morning. Well, the suspect is in custody, and thankfully that officer is expected to be okay. However, this was obviously very rattling to the entire force, a sobering reminder of the dangers of policing. Now, take a look on your screens. This is a picture of the suspect identified as 31-year-old Tyler Wilmot of Woodbury. According to police officer Tim Wright with the Woodbury Resident Trooper's Office, pulled Wilmot over just before 1:30 Thursday afternoon off of North Main Street for an unregistered vehicle. Wilmot pulled over. However, police say the situation took a scary turn when Wilmot got out of the car, started yelling, and stabbed Officer Wright in the neck. Fortunately, Officer Wright was able to activate the emergency call button on his radio, and backup was there within minutes. Another officer jumped into action, rushing Officer Wright to the hospital, ultimately saving his life.
It certainly is a contributing factor, yeah, and he's very lucky that the injuries weren't anywhere close to any major arteries, but the immediate treatment was a contributing factor to his speedy recovery.
Wilmot is charged with attempted murder and armed assault. He's being held on a $3 million bond. He's expected to appear in court early this morning. In Woodbury, Marcy Jones, Channel 3 Eyewitness News.
And we're learning more this morning about Officer Tim Wright. He is a veteran and a decorated police officer. He was awarded a Medal of Bravery for stopping a driver of a stolen car. It happened during a scary chase back in 2014. That vehicle was stolen in Southbury, led officers on a chase through Woodbury and Bethlehem before the suspect eventually crashed in Washington, I should say. Police say Officer Wright's cruiser was rammed during that crash, and he was able to use his taser to stop the suspect. Of course, you can stay here for continuing coverage on this developing story And that suspect being in court today. We'll have updates on air and on the WFSB app.
7:05 now this morning. A 6-year-old boy is recovering in the hospital after being hit by a school bus.
Channel 3 Eyewitness News reporter Olivia Schuler has the latest on what we know so far about this case.
The child is being treated for at Connecticut Children's Medical Center. We know that he is in stable condition. However, he does have some serious injuries. Waterbury police responded yesterday afternoon to the area of Garden Circle. There, police found an unidentified 6-year-old boy. Channel 3 spoke to 2 eyewitnesses who watched this heartbreaking situation unfold. Louis Rangel and his cousin Christian were unloading groceries when they saw the street overwhelmed with first responders. The emotion from everyone on scene were hard for the pair to watch.
I seen the kid's parent just come out, and both of them just crying and crying. Like, you could see the emotion that she had in her eyes. To see one of my neighbors hurt, it's unfortunate.
The incident is under investigation at this time. Now, I have contacted Waterbury Public Schools for a statement in regards to this horrible accident that took place, as well as the bus company. And as soon as I hear back from them, I'll update you here on the WFSB News app. In Waterbury, Olivia Schuler, Channel 3 Eyewitness News.
Police in New London trying to determine the source of a school threat this morning. The social media threat didn't name a specific school in the city, so officers boosted patrols around all of them yesterday. This is the second time, though, that this happened in New London this week alone. Last night, police said students and staff following see something, say something was key in addressing the situations quickly.
This morning, a local elementary school principal being accused of messing with school test results.
A state-commissioned investigation found that the principal of the Ivy Drive School in Bristol intentionally manipulated students' test scores. Principal Emily Gomes has been on paid leave ever since. The problem surfaced over test results with SBAC, which is the Smarter Balanced Assessment. Gomes may resign. She also could face termination, and the State Board of Education could remove her certification. Parents are also asking, will students have to retake the tests? Right now, we don't know the answer to that. The state will have to decide on that issue.
Well, for the rest of the high school football season, home games for Waterbury Public Schools will now take place in the afternoon. This comes as police work to boost security following a fight last Friday night during a game at Municipal Stadium. 6 teenagers there were arrested. This move will not impact Holy Cross High School, which is a private school.
The Department of Children and Families is investigating the death of a little boy in Bridgeport. And we want to warn you again that the details of this story are very difficult. Police say he was beaten with a baseball bat by his stepfather.
Yeah, that little boy, 6-year-old Jathan Escobar's family says they told DCF multiple times he and his brother were in a violent environment and they didn't feel safe. Jathan, his brother, and their mother were assaulted last week. The man accused of doing that is facing charges. DCF officials say they did interact with that family 2 months prior. Well, this morning, investigators identified the victim of a deadly shooting that happened yesterday afternoon in Hartford as police continue their search for the person who pulled the trigger. We are told 30-year-old Shavoya Rivers of Manchester got into a fight with another man on Florence Street. That's when he was shot. We're told a nearby surveillance camera actually captured the entire shooting and could even help with the police investigation. This is the city's 15th homicide of the year. 7:09, a Waterford man is facing assault and disorderly conduct charges after being arrested for rioting at the Capitol on January 6th.
Yeah, police say that James Cleary was at the lower west tunnel of the building. That's where some of the most violent attacks on law enforcement happened. We're also told he grabbed an officer's baton, pushed them to the ground, and then gave it to another rioter. The massive port strike has been put on pause after both sides reached a tentative agreement.
The strike has been suspended until January 15th while the final deal gets worked out. The Dockworkers Union represents 45,000 workers who walked off the job Tuesday morning from ports all along the East Coast, from Maine down to the Gulf Coast in Texas.
The strike marked the first of its kind in nearly 50 years. Experts say it would have affected our nation's economy the longer that it went on.
And as we get a check of your first alert forecast, temperatures this morning look excellent out there. It's very nice to start this Friday morning. Our temperatures will warm up very nicely even throughout the afternoon hours, looking at those mid-70s. Right now, everybody climbing through those 40s and 50s. A couple clouds out there and some spots dealing with that fog, but most areas doing okay. Here's a look at your forecast high temperatures by this afternoon. Mid 70s, even a couple areas might reach that 60s or 76, 60s, 77 degrees. So definitely well above average. Our high temperature this time of year is only 68 degrees. By the time we get to about a week out and even a week and a half out, we're forecasting, and so is NOAA, at least cooler than average weather, which will coincide with our first frost. This is when we normally see them through the northwest and northeast hills by the 10th of October through the 20th for everybody else, and right along the shoreline, not until October 21st. But we're forecasting some chilly weather by next week, at least to start the day. I'll let you know how cool those temperatures get and any rain chances along the way. It's all coming up with your full First Alert forecast. Caitlin?